Hello, my name is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, here to provide your news update for May 27th, 2020. The newspaper, like many places, is in a time of transition. Our office isn't yet open to the public, but the staff is now spending more time at 215 D Street and in the field as more events resume, businesses reopen, activities start back up again. We're adjusting to the new abnormal, as Wyoming columnist Dave Simpson puts it. Be looking for his weekend column. As we spend more time in our more regular work environment, we're going to be transitioning away from some of our home studios. But first, I wanted to give you all just a little bit of a peek behind the scenes. I cannot tell you how many times when the cat has run across the top of the bookshelves while I've been filming. That is why the camera is usually framed the way it is. Something else that people have noted is that I often look up and to the side. That's because I'm taking a look at this monitor. It doesn't usually look like this. If it did, the videos would be longer as I self-hypnotized myself, or at least as I was tempted to adjust the monitor. Soon, I believe that you'll be seeing more things shot from our more traditional studio. It's the one that, if you've been with us through the beginning, that's where most of our video podcast originated. Or if you're just now joining us, you'll get to see it in the coming days. Now, for today's rundown, there are some days where it's getting late and we're like, what are we going to talk about besides the numbers? And there are some days where, like today, where it's not even 3:30 and you're like, there's so much news to go through. With my longer preamble than usual, I'll try to move a little bit more quickly. Sweetwater County has now reported its 18th confirmed case of the coronavirus. A Rock Springs man in his 50s tested positive. That brings our total number of confirmed cases to 18. And in addition to, when it comes to probable cases, people with symptoms but no test results to back it up, that number's at 8. Of the confirmed cases, 15 of those people are now deemed recovered, which is great news, and we're looking forward to adding the other 3 to that list soon. While we've largely been spared the impact of the virus in Sweetwater County, other places are a bit harder hit. Today we learned that a third case in a Washakie County nursing home died. We've been watching this for a little while. Right now, testing has identified 12 cases amongst residents in the long-term care center and 10 amongst facility staff. This is one reason why we're still encouraged to practice safe distancing, wearing a mask, limiting trips to only possible. It is very, very frighteningly common for people to be asymptomatic, have the virus and not be showing symptoms, not realize it themselves. And if it gets traction in a place, in an area, especially in a place like a nursing home where it's a more susceptible, higher risk population, the consequences can be what we're seeing here. The 3 deaths in the facility have all been attributed to coronavirus. That brings the statewide total up to 14 coronavirus-related deaths. That's also among 653 lab-confirmed cases statewide, 207 probable cases. And when it comes to the recoveries, we're sitting at 624 overall. Looking beyond the cowboy state, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is reporting a total number of 1,678,843 cases of the coronavirus in the United States, which is an increase of 16,429 more than yesterday. The death toll sits at 99,031 people, which is 770 deaths more than yesterday. Johns Hopkins University reports that worldwide the total sits at 5,685,512 cases, with global deaths rising to 354,983 people, and recoveries at 2,347,276 people. In addition to passing on his condolences to the people impacted by the death, Governor Mark Gordon's regular press conference included encouragement to practice the common sense tips we've heard all along, in addition to incoming, soon-to-be implemented revisions to our state health orders. Starting June 1st, outdoor activities will be allowed with crowds up to 250 spectators in attendance. This is great news. There are some places like the Sweetwater Events Complex, which this past weekend hosted races with with empty stands, not the usual spectators. We're looking forward to future events being able to be a little bit more rowdy, still keeping safe guidelines in mind, but still being a boost for the competitors and the fans. It's noted that this is for outdoor gatherings. Limitations are still in place for indoor gatherings. Exemptions are given, such as for religious gatherings, church services, and a couple others in the health order. But excluding those, the expectation right now is that the size is restricted to groups of 25 or fewer. Our state health officer, Dr. Alexia Harris, noticed that a few weeks ago we were limited to gatherings of no more than 10, then 25, starting June 1st, outdoor gatherings of 250. She said, what happens next is up to us. Stressing what most of us know, the more responsible we are, the good practices that we're putting to use, the more things will be able to open up, the more options will be granted. If we're considerate and responsible with smaller things, it will build to bigger things. While it was great to learn that some of these smaller events that can go forward, 250 still kind of puts a cap on some activities. And while there was a lot of good news and celebration and celebratory comments at the press conference, Governor Gordon actually became a bit more torn up when he had to announce that some of the largest rodeos in the state that were scheduled for late June and July are going to have to be canceled this year. He was joined by representatives from some of these groups, and the list of cancellations include the Thermopolis Cowboy Rendezvous and PRCA Rodeo in late June, and July events such as the Cody Stampede, Central Wyoming Fair, and PRCA Rodeo in Casper, Sheridan Wyoming Rodeo and Breakaway Roping, Laramie Jubilees Days, and the granddaddy of them all, Cheyenne Frontier Days. These are now all canceled at this time. As the governor put it, this sucks. He shared in the past, but brought up again today how he comes from a ranching tradition. He was participating in rodeos himself, and this is something that people look forward to every year. This is something that even when you're on your way to the parking lot, having concluded the previous event, you know that you're going to be back for the next year's event. You don't have to check your calendar. You know that 5 years from now, you're going to be at the road. You're going to be there. Yeah, I'm going to be there. Why would I be there? It's disappointing. It inflicts a mental toll. There's a financial toll, social, all sorts of different areas. We all pay a cost with this. He stressed that they postponed the decision as much as possible, but they faced concerns that we've heard locally. We know when members of our local fair board announced that due to financial concerns, logistics, economics, they had to scale back what we're going to be seeing at the Sweetwater County Fair this year. There are some places where the vendors, the concessionaires, they're not going to be there unless you can guarantee a certain number of people. And right now, nobody can guarantee what the state of things are going to look like in a couple months. We have hope, we have trends, we have anybody who's making promises right now or demanding promises. It's a fluid situation. And they would rather let people know that while they postpone it, they'd rather let you know that now that alternative plans need to be made. That don't be counting on it for 2020. Start looking to 2021. All of the organizers stress that they are committed to returning the events next year, and they are excited and passionate about that. It's rough to have something you were looking forward to taken away. But right now, risk and rewards have to be weighed. And I liked, it's, in addition to the governor speaking, it was interesting to hear from some of the rodeo organizers. And these are people who, many of them have, generation after generation, they've been part of these events. This is part of their DNA, part of their inner character. And there are those like Tom Hersig, who's the president and CEO of the Cheyenne Frontier Days, stressing that and it's not just a rodeo. I mean, it's stuff like parades, concessions, street dances, concerts, concessions. These are all things that even if they held the event, they couldn't be there. And the crowds couldn't be the same size. And when you look at what it takes to put on these events, the manpower, the hours, and all this, that's a lot to put into an event that if you can't do the best job with it, you can't, and if you can't guarantee not just the enjoyment, but the safety and well-being of the people involved, it's best to postpone it. During the press conference today, he said, one of the worst things we could do is cause our state to go backward. Now, at a time when we're reopening, there's some places that that just recently reopened their doors, or they're hoping to do so shortly. We're going to see the pools and such, our outdoor pools open soon, if the schedule continues as expected. We don't want to be seeing a spike in cases and have to close things down again. That's until there's widespread immunity, a vaccine, a treatment, that remains a risk. Even in countries that were much more severe than the U.S., and locking things down and getting things under control, they're seeing hot spots right now. There may still be places around the country. There may be places in Wyoming that have a flare-up. That for that concentrated area, they're going to have to knuckle down. And at a time when large crowds and especially traveling's extra dangerous, this is a hard but necessary sacrifice. It's not a fun one. That more than one person stressed that this. Nobody wants to be saying what we're saying here. We try to come up with every other possible combination we could. Another line that that from the press conference came from Billy Kraft, who's the president of the Sheridan, Wyoming Rodeo Board of Directors. He said, right now, hosting the event would be irresponsible, potentially harmful, and possibly even deadly. I know that some of these events that are a core of our summer, that many people, this is the big thing. They clear their schedule for this. It wrenches a piece out of you to watch it, have it be taken away. But when there's still this lingering risk, and we just we're worried about people, we're worried about reputation. You don't want to be known as a state where, well, don't go there. They can't get their act together. Have you seen their numbers? That more than one person stressed about, that's the type of thing that could hurt Wyoming as a whole. That could hurt the future of these events. To do it poorly, or heaven forbid, to have the event and have there be a breakout, be traced to it. That's the type of thing that it would be better to miss it than to push it over the edge and its long-term viability to be lost. These aren't fun decisions. These aren't things that anybody revels in. These are things that there were, like I said, there were tears in people's eyes. One of the other things that Tom Hersig said is, I'm thinking of all the people, thinking of all the people who come together for an event. The rodeo clowns, the announcers, the people watching the gate, the parking lot attendants, cotton candy guy, the people who are checking armbands, the people providing security, the people, just so many people come together for an event. In addition to the people who are racing through the dirt, who are wrestling the animals into submission, holding on for dear life against the bucking animal. He said, they are part of our family, and we're not willing to risk them. These events are big. They're money makers, they're reputation makers. They're a big part of what we love about this state. And then there are also the people around us who are neighbors, our friends and family. And you want both. I mean, that's the ideal. When given the choice between, would you rather have fame or fortune? Both. Would you have success and the love of your peers? Both. I mean, you want, if given these chances, most of the time I want all of the above. Right now, because of the risk, we're afraid that if we reach for both, we're going to lose both. And if we have to make the decision to choose for one, the one that we're willing to sacrifice a little bit more for, not that we don't love both, not that they're not both important, but the one that we decide to just give a little bit more of ourselves to maintain. Like I said, that's a little bit of money. That's a little bit of fun. That's a little bit of what we talk about when we talk about what makes Wyoming great. We're willing to put that aside for the sake of the people around us. And I wish to commend the people who have already poured so much into these events, and I wish you astounding success with the events to follow. In addition to some of these smaller events, that they did note that there's going to be some of the smaller rodeos that right now it looks like those can go forward as planned. If you're able to get to some of those, have a great time. Be responsible. We still have a long ways to go where on a daily basis we're going to have to be making decisions and deciding what we put value on, what we sacrifice for, and what's the best way to interact with people or groups that disagree with us. I spend a lot of time listening to the arguments. While I don't always agree with all the opinions I'm hearing, I still try to do what I can to be understanding and accommodate where I can and be kind where I can. There are some areas that I'm not going to compromise, and everybody has that personal line. And this is going to just be a prolonged season where we're just constantly being tested on that, and we may learn all sorts of adjustments and hopefully conflict resolution and not too much yelling. Be kind. as much as you can. Being kind, being a good cowboy or cowgirl, that's why we're canceling these rodeos. And I believe that same attitude and that same outlook will be why these events will return and be that much more enjoyable and awesome. Daily paradoxes. Welcome to life in a pandemic. One more quick thing. I mentioned there are multiple reasons why I look off camera. This little guy is the other one. The majority of the videos I have filmed in here. He's within 8 inches or 18 inches of that spot on the mattress. He's got a cat box in one corner. You may have even heard him at the scratching post. You've maybe even seen me reach off camera just to give him a quick pat. I'm going to miss having my little furry producer doing this stuff, but I'm looking forward to continuing to provide you updates from the Rocket Miner mini studio that we have and other places on location. This is Caleb Smith with the Rocket Miner newspaper, whose face is way too close to the camera. Wishing you a good day and a safe tomorrow.